Gentlemen, let me ask you an honest question. Have you ever been with your partner wanting to make her feel desired and deeply aroused, yet no matter how much effort you put in, it just didn't seem to happen? Perhaps you felt like you were doing everything you thought was right, but she never fully responded. Maybe you even began wondering if you were missing something important. If that sounds familiar, you're far from alone. Over the years, countless men have sat across from me asking almost the exact same question. Dr. Leah, what's the one type of foreplay that truly works? After more than 12 years of helping men improve their sexual health and confidence, I've discovered that there is one approach that consistently creates stronger arousal for most women. More importantly, it helps her feel emotionally connected, relaxed, appreciated, and genuinely desired. The surprising part is that it isn't based on complicated techniques or trying to imitate what you've seen elsewhere. It doesn't require endless effort or special tricks. Instead, it works because it follows the way a woman's body and emotions naturally respond to intimacy. In today's video, I'll explain the 4 biggest foreplay mistakes many men unknowingly make and why those habits often prevent genuine arousal. Then I'll show you the technique I recommend most often, explain why it works from both a biological and emotional perspective, and teach you how to adapt it so your partner continues to enjoy it without it ever feeling predictable or routine. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video so more men can discover these practical relationship tips. I'd also love to know where you're watching from, so leave your country in the comments below. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more evidence-informed videos on men's health, confidence, and lasting intimacy. Now let's begin with one of the biggest misunderstandings about foreplay, a misconception that prevents many couples from experiencing the deeper connection they're both looking for. Here's something many men never learn, and understanding it can completely change the way you approach intimacy. Foreplay isn't about finding one perfect move or memorizing a sequence of techniques. It isn't a shortcut to arousal, and it certainly isn't about rushing toward a specific outcome. Real arousal develops gradually, engaging both the body and the emotions at the same time. Many men make the mistake of focusing immediately on the areas they assume are most sensitive. The problem is that a woman's body doesn't usually respond that way. Desire builds through a natural progression, with the brain, emotions, and body working together long before the most intimate areas become fully responsive. There's another piece that's just as important. Emotional connection often shapes physical response. When a woman feels relaxed, appreciated, emotionally safe, and genuinely desired, her body is far more likely to respond naturally. Without that sense of comfort, even the best physical techniques may not create the connection you're hoping for. For those joining us for the first time, I'm Dr. Leah. For more than 12 years, I've worked with men and couples to improve intimacy, overcome performance concerns, and strengthen relationships through practical, evidence-informed guidance. Throughout those years, I've seen couples transform their relationships, not because they discovered some secret trick, but because they learned how connection, communication, and understanding work together. Before I show you the technique I recommend most often, let's first look at the 4 mistakes that quietly prevent many women from becoming fully aroused. Once you understand these common habits, everything else will begin to make much more sense. Mistake 1. Moving to intimate stimulation before genuine arousal has had time to develop. Mistake 1. Rushing straight to oral stimulation. This is one of the most common mistakes I see men make. Many believe that oral stimulation is the ultimate way to begin intimacy, but timing is everything. If your partner hasn't become fully aroused, the areas you're focusing on simply aren't ready to respond the way you expect. Instead of creating pleasure, moving too quickly can make her feel self-conscious, uncomfortable, or emotionally disconnected. It's similar to expecting your body to perform at its best before you've had a chance to warm up. The foundation simply hasn't been built yet. When genuine arousal develops naturally, blood flow increases, sensitivity improves, and her body becomes much more receptive. That's why oral stimulation often works best after desire has already been awakened, not before. Mistake number 2, depending on light, aimless touch. Another habit many men fall into is believing that barely brushing their fingertips across her skin is automatically romantic. While gentle touch certainly has its place, touch without intention can easily become distracting instead of exciting. If your touch is too light, it may simply feel ticklish. If it's too firm or rushed, it can interrupt the emotional connection you're trying to create. What most women respond to is confident, responsive touch that feels natural and purposeful. Rather than randomly moving from one area to another, allow your hands to travel slowly across larger areas of her body. Maintain steady contact and pay attention to how she responds. The goal isn't simply to touch her. It's to make every touch feel meaningful. Many couples also believe the next technique is the perfect way to build desire. While it can certainly be enjoyable, it often doesn't create the kind of arousal most men expect. Let's look at why that happens next. Mistake 3. Believing a massage alone creates arousal. A relaxing massage can be a wonderful way to help your partner unwind after a busy day. It eases muscle tension, encourages relaxation, and creates a peaceful atmosphere. But many men make the mistake of thinking that relaxation automatically leads to sexual desire. The truth is that they're not the same thing. A massage helps calm the body, but if it never progresses beyond that, your partner may simply remain in a restful, comfort-focused state rather than becoming increasingly aroused. Think of it as setting the stage instead of beginning the performance. It prepares the moment, but it doesn't create the emotional and physical momentum needed for intimacy on its own. That doesn't mean you should avoid massage. It simply works best when it's blended naturally into a larger experience of affection, closeness, and intentional touch. Mistake 4. Relying too much on conversation alone. Another common misunderstanding is believing that words by themselves will create lasting arousal. Compliments, playful teasing, flirtation, and meaningful conversation can absolutely strengthen attraction. They help build anticipation and emotional connection. However, if everything stays at the level of conversation, your partner may remain mentally engaged without her body fully responding. Genuine intimacy develops when emotional connection and physical affection work together rather than separately. Now that we've cleared away the 4 most common mistakes, let's move to the approach I recommend most often. The technique I call full body connection isn't about focusing on one specific area. Instead, it's about creating a continuous feeling of closeness through intentional touch, eye contact, gentle affection, and being completely present with your partner. When these elements come together naturally, many couples discover that intimacy becomes more relaxed, emotionally connected, and deeply satisfying for both people. Rather than concentrating on one specific area, this approach encourages you to think about the entire experience as a continuous flow of connection. Instead of isolated movements, allow your affection to travel naturally from one moment to the next. Stay close to your partner, maintain gentle eye contact, and let your embrace, your hands, and your presence work together. The goal isn't to rush toward a destination, but to create an atmosphere where she feels completely comfortable, appreciated, and emotionally connected. Why does this approach work so well? From a biological perspective, the skin contains thousands of nerve endings that respond to warm, intentional touch. When different areas of the body receive gentle, consistent attention, the nervous system becomes more engaged, helping arousal develop gradually instead of all at once. Emotionally, this communicates something equally important. It tells your partner that your attention isn't focused on just one part of her body. Instead, you're appreciating her as a whole person. That feeling of being valued and emotionally safe often strengthens trust and allows intimacy to unfold more naturally. In everyday relationships, this also changes the pace of the experience. Rather than feeling hurried or mechanical, both partners have time to relax, connect, and genuinely enjoy each other's company. So, how do you put this into practice? Begin with your full attention. Before any physical affection, slow yourself down, take a breath, make eye contact, and be mentally present. One of the biggest obstacles to intimacy is distraction, and your partner can often sense when your mind is somewhere else. From there, let your affection develop naturally, paying attention to her comfort, her responses, and the emotional connection you're creating together. Once you've established that sense of closeness, the next step is learning how to keep the experience feeling natural instead of predictable. One of the best ways to do this is by using different forms of affectionate contact rather than relying on the same movement over and over again. Your hands don't have to do all the work. A warm embrace, gentle kisses, a reassuring touch, and maintaining close body contact all contribute to creating a stronger emotional and physical connection. Another important principle is to vary your pace. Don't let every moment feel identical. Sometimes slower movements build anticipation, while at other times a little more confidence and energy can create excitement. Allow the experience to unfold naturally instead of following a rigid routine. As intimacy develops, gradually move your attention across different parts of her body. Areas such as the neck, shoulders, upper back, waist, hips, lower back, and thighs often respond well to gentle, intentional affection. Rather than repeatedly focusing on one location, let your touch flow smoothly from one area to another. This creates a feeling of continuity instead of making the experience seem repetitive. Just as important is blending your actions together. Instead of stopping after every kiss or every touch, let one movement naturally lead into the next. The transition should feel effortless, almost like a slow dance where every movement complements the one before it. Perhaps the most valuable skill of all is learning to pay attention to your partner's responses. Notice her breathing, facial expressions, body language, and the way she naturally reacts. If she seems relaxed and engaged, continue at that pace. If she appears uncomfortable or less responsive, slow down, adjust, and let her comfort guide the moment. Remember, no two evenings are exactly alike. Some days your partner may appreciate a playful, energetic atmosphere, while other times she may simply want a slower, more emotionally connected experience. The principles remain the same, but the way you express them should always adapt to the moment. One final point I want every man to remember is this: don't allow any approach to become so predictable that it feels rehearsed. Even the most effective techniques lose their impact when they're repeated exactly the same way every time. Healthy intimacy grows through curiosity, communication, and being willing to adapt to each moment. Change your pace, vary your position, and most importantly, stay attentive to your partner's comfort and enjoyment. What feels right one evening may be different the next, and that's completely normal. The next time you're together, let go of the pressure to perform perfectly. Instead of worrying about whether you're doing the right thing, focus on creating a genuine sense of closeness. Be fully present, take your time, and allow affection to develop naturally rather than rushing toward a destination. Pay attention to the signals your partner gives you. Notice her breathing, facial expressions, and body language. If she seems relaxed and engaged, continue at that pace. If she appears hesitant or less responsive, slow down, check in with her, and adjust accordingly. Great intimacy is built on communication just as much as technique. Keep things fresh by introducing variety. Sometimes a slower, more affectionate approach creates the strongest emotional connection. Other times, a little more energy and spontaneity may feel appropriate. The key is allowing each experience to be unique instead of following the same routine every time. Before we finish, I want to speak directly to the men who feel their confidence has changed with age. Many believe that getting older means intimacy will never be as meaningful as it once was. After working with men and couples for more than 12 years, I can tell you that simply isn't true. I've seen relationships become stronger in their 60s and 70s because both partners learn to slow down, communicate better, and focus on genuine connection instead of performance. So here's the message I hope you remember. Stop chasing shortcuts and start building connection. Presence, patience, thoughtful affection, and paying attention to your partner's responses will always be more valuable than trying to master a single move. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed for more practical men's health content. Also, leave a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I always enjoy hearing from this amazing community. I'm Dr. Leah, and thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, age doesn't define your ability to build a loving, fulfilling relationship. With understanding, communication, and a willingness to keep learning, intimacy can continue to grow for many years to come.